So I was watching this other guy last night, some high-end PvP, and this guy was a level 60, uh, high level 60 guy. And he was basically using he was a mage, and it's hard to tell if he was good because, he's 20 levels higher than most people. He was level 65. And there's just not like a lot of mobs to actually grind out to level 70. So I haven't really seen a lot of max level players. I'm sure there are, but there's not many, definitely. I think there's a lot of people kind of like this casual guy who are just like level 40. But his conclusion was he was using the number pad when he was in a combat stance to manipulate his skills and abilities, and he would change he would use a randomized deck with a few fixed glyphs. Another interesting thing he did, so I'm going to hit V, and you can see your fizzle chance. Mine is -2, which means I won't fizzle. If I bring out my bow, again, it's still -2. But now if I move, you see it jump to 18 there. And the whole point was when you move with a sword and a shield, see, this is what the high-end players will find out. When you move around with the sword, and my attack skill drops too. So when I'm standing still, I gain a huge advantage. So that's just something to notice. I gain a ton of attack skill, and I gain this stillness effect. So when I'm not moving, I have high advantage. So this guy would use a sword and a shield. So this guy's talking about donating a ton of money to get a manor. And what this guy would do is he would have a sword and a shield. He uses the shield, like a wooden shield, which has 0 fizzle or very low fizzle, something like that. And so he basically gets the damage resistance or the damage mitigation portion from that, because there's really no defense in this game. Like I said, you have to have a blocking element to the game. So players are trying to do it through more of a passive means, which is what this game is doing right now. The other thing is this guy would have a sword. Now he has nothing in blades. He's a caster. He wants to cast spells. But he has a blade because it does crit damage, and it has no ammunition and things like that with the bow. Now, it's hard to tell if this guy is fantastic, but he would use the number pad to combo. So I asked him, I'm like, how do you move around? How do you move? Because your hand is off the mouse. You have one hand on the WSD, and then you have one hand on the keyboard. And he's like, well, when I want to move, I just reach over and grab my mouse from the number pad and do it. And I'm like, that's not a good system. And that just shows you another fundamental flaw with deck randomization, that the high-end players, they're never going to be able to compete because they have to multitask, switching from their mouse pad to the mouse. So the randomization element of decks just has to go. Like, that's just basic. That's the big conclusion I have. And deck swapping is, you could still have the deck. The idea behind decks isn't stupid, but you could have a deck, but it has to be fixed. So I'm going to talk about a couple other things this game needs.